We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる。
Wow, we were trying to figure out how do you bat when you bat at Chennai. Well, look no further than Royal Challengers Bangalore, look no further than Glenn Maxwell, and certainly no further than AB de Villiers, who at 37, 38, doesn't matter how old he is, he's still smashing it at over 2 runs a ball. He's managed to hit 76 of 34 deliveries as AB de Villiers, after Glenn Maxwell himself had a telling impact on that first innings to power RCB to 204 for 4. First team to bat first and score over 200 at the Chepauk this season. So Dan Vettori and Irfan Pathan have a lot to appreciate of de Villiers and Maxwell on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Riggin for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel. Irfan, what have we just witnessed? How good was that?
Let him bat in the snow and he'll come out, firing all guns blazing, because he's outstanding batsman. Look, I bowled to him and I found, in all IPL, all matches, I think he was the worst batsman to bowl on, because he could do anything. He could play straight, he could play on the back, he could play sweep, reverse sweep. Outstanding, and once more. He doesn't require, what kind of pitch it is.
That's the thing about AB, isn't it, Dan? Even at this stage, he transcends conditions. We may even think this may not be an easy pitch to bat, but AB's just smashed 76 of 34 on it.
And he transcends batting orders. I think the RCB seem to have got it perfectly right with him coming in at 5 after Maxwell, who, let's not forget, played an amazing innings in very difficult conditions, very difficult situation after KKR got those 2 early wickets and had a lot of pressure on them, and he was able to come out and still play his fairly natural game. He took on Shakib, he took on the spinners, and then that created that platform for one of AB de Villiers' greatest innings. And it feels like hyperbole to say that with how many great innings he's had, but in those conditions, I still think they were tough, and he just made it look sublime. And I think one of the commentators said he has a shot for every ball, and some of the balls that were bowled to him were balls that were dot balls to any other batsman, but he managed to get them away, whether it was behind the wicket, in front of the wicket, or over the boundary. So anyone who got to sit back and watch that innings saw one of the best T20 innings ever.
Yeah, let's try and do justice to both those innings, because Maxwell and de Villiers, you think those would be the only conversation in most T20 games. We've seen them together. Let's start with de Villiers, because that's fresh in our minds. Irfan, you just mentioned the point. You've bowled to him. Andre Russell's bowled a couple of decent balls to him at the end, and he still managed to find 4s and 6s. How does he do this again? Can you explain it?
No explanation. The only thing we try to explain is technique, that he stands so low that, from that low gravity to actually produce that kind of power, it's impossible. Because you always ask your students, if you are coaching, you'll say, use your hip. And how are you going to use your hip? That when you stand tall. And if you're not standing tall, you're losing all your balance. And this guy comes in, stays low, plays all around, and with the same kind of power in front of the wicket and behind the wicket. So it's outstanding. Only ABD can do. And that's why he's such a special player. Very hard to bowl to him. If you bowl round the wicket, doesn't matter. The guy who has taken 5 wickets in the last game in 2 overs went for 38 in 2.
Every IPL, we look at players who aren't playing international cricket and think it's going to be harder for them. It's going to be harder. They're not playing top-level cricket anymore. Why is it not harder for de Villiers again, Dan?
Well, I think it's supreme talent. I think you're right around that. There's probably only 2 batsmen I've seen who have been able to manage it as Brad Hodge and AB de Villiers, and albeit at different levels. And I think de Villiers does it because he has a very, very simple pre-game routine and a very, very simple practice method. And so he sticks to that no matter what, whether he's playing a test match, whether he's playing a one-day or a T20. So when he has those fundamentals, he sticks to them. And if you see him train, you'd be amazed, because he bats with no pads on and a stump, and hits balls with a stump, and then he'll go into the nets for a little bit. But it's not extensive training. What he does so well is he teaches himself to hit the ball so late. And you see some of those shots that he plays, the ball is under his feet, under his eyes, and he never lets his hands get in front of him. And that's why he creates so much power, and that's why he's able to hit those Yorkers that Russell bowls at the end, where most mere mortals will just be digging them out. He still manages to get so much power in them because he hits late. And then he can adjust to the full tosses or the beamers that Russell bowls them, and knock them down to third man for 4. So that ability to play late sets him up to be as powerful as he is.
Those thin bats which we use for practice, Raunak, those thin bats just to get the middle timing right for practice. I won't be surprised that if he go out in the match, AB de Villiers with that kind of bat, he'll still score runs. It's outstanding.
Yeah, good chance. Very good chance. Now, last question on this. When he's going like this, Irfan, is there something that you can do to just try and mitigate the damage? Just keep it down? Because this is now, 200 plus. You think if the game's almost, they've outbatted him. Never say never. But could a bowling side like KKR have done anything at all to just reduce the damage towards the end?
When AB is in that kind of form, you just try and make a plan, execute it, and pray. And that's the only thing you can do. Nothing else you can do because, there are so many shots. They try to do their best. They try to bowl the round the wicket, bowl wide Yorkers, but he still managed to actually run. If he doesn't get boundary, then he makes sure that he's so fit at this age as well. He runs too. So what else can you do? Like even in the last over he gets 12 and over, he's still doing a great job.
I've heard Raunak, I've heard opposition coaches and captains talk about their serious game plan is to bowl their worst ball possible to them because their best balls are just ineffective. So if they think they can bowl something that's unexpected, that's not that great, then maybe it'll throw him off his guard. And people talk about his one weakness is maybe he doesn't play the cut shot as well. It's hard to bowl for cut shots. So it is incredibly difficult to when your good bowlers going for 4 and 6, and teams do look at a variety of options, and they have gone down that road of let's just bowl our worst ball and see what happens.
Could KKR have bowled their better bowlers though at the end? Harbhajan Singh seemed to have had the job to bowl the penultimate over. I don't remember the last time that Harbhajan has done that. But Irfan, could Morgan have done anything differently? Was that an error to bowl Harbhajan in the 19th?
See, I understand captains making mistake, but guys like Morgan making a mistake is a world champion. And I was very surprised with the start when Varun Chakravarti was taken off. You know that he has taken 2 wickets in an over, and then the best batsman so far for RCB, Maxwell, has come in. Why are you not bowling to him? The guy who has taken wicket. And especially, it's all about the confidence. Yeah, it's all well and good about the matches that left-arm spinner has got Maxwell out, and that's why probably Morgan would have gone for Saqib. But here is the guy who's taken 2 wickets. So you should have gone with the current confidence and not to change Varun Chakravarti. I think that's what the mistake. And then 2 right-hand batsmen were batting at the end. Harbhajan Singh came into bowl in the death overs. It was very surprising. And look, if AB is bowling, if left-arm spinner would have bowled, I would not have still minded against AB de Villiers. But right-arm off spinner Harbhajan Singh, yes, experienced bowler, great bowler. He's got a Yorker as well. But I think it was a very, very wrong move. He actually made a lot of mistakes, not just one as a captain, Morgan.
All right, strong words. Dan, you go with that. Morgan didn't quite get it right.
Well, I think it was obviously they bowled to a plan. It looked like their 20 overs were mapped out, and they were going to stick to that. And possibly that's the nature of having Maxwell and de Villiers batting 4 and 5, that you leave a lot of resources to counter them. And I think once they got Kohli out, they thought that they would be able to, I suppose, get through a few overs before Maxwell would get going. But he got going straight away, and he put pressure right back on KKR. And that made it difficult with the bowling changes. The one thing that may work is looking at using Russell early on. Even 1 over from Russell in those middle stages on a wicket that was still tricky. A typical Cheepak wicket could have alleviated the need to bowl Harbhajan at the end.
Okay, Maxwell, let's give him some time, shall we? Because that was a heck of an innings from Glenn Maxwell, who just continues to look better and better, and came at a difficult time, Irfan, after they'd lost a couple of early wickets. How good was that from Maxwell?
Absolutely, and my prediction will be actually going wrong, because I thought he will score 400 runs, but he's going to go more. He's in tremendous form. Look, he's changed the whole RCB setup, and especially, all credit to them, the way they have managed to bat up the order, number 4. Not many people would have thought that he'll be batting up. Then AB de Villiers. So, it worked out really well for them. And look, when he came, RCB lost 2 wickets back to back in a very short span of time. And for him to just go out there and play freely the way he did, it was outstanding, because it requires courage, at the same time requires ability. And he's got special ability to play those big shots in the air without minimum risk, minimum fuss.
We know about AB being a freak then, but today you saw Maxwell as well. Padikkal struggling to go at a strike rate of 100. Kohli didn't last very long, but Maxwell, he seemed to have as well.
I think I think what we see is that even experienced players love consistency, and I think Maxwell has been given that role at number 4. Probably every other franchise he's been to, he's opened. He's been all the way down to 6, and it looks like he's pretty comfortable with it. And I think we can't underestimate also the pressure that having Kohli and de Villiers in the team, the pressure that's taken off the likes of Maxwell. Most franchises Maxwell's been to, he's supposed to be the go-to guy. He's supposed to be the one who dominates. Here, he has the luxury of being third in line, and that seems to be sitting pretty well with him. He's got a number 4 batting position for himself, and he's come out and played his natural game. And I think that's been the most impressive thing, that no matter the situation, Maxwell's come out and played. And I think that comes from confidence in where he's batting and his role, and also from the fact that most people are expecting Kohli and de Villiers to do the job, not him.
All right. Is this now too many, Irfan? Can 200 possibly be chased by KKR?
Oh, it is very difficult, Look, unless KKR's main guy who has won them matches for a long period of time, Andre Russell, come to the party. Otherwise, it's very difficult for them. Because, we always talk about how difficult it is to bat at the death, especially with the older ball in Chennai. RCB scored 56 runs in last 3 overs. And, how they're going to better that, this KKR team, it looks very, very difficult.
Now, if I could just get a glimpse of what's happening at the Chepauk, I can see, I could be wrong here, but it looks like Shakib Al Hasan is padded up as well. So I don't know if there's going to be a surprise or two thrown. But what about the use of Andre Russell? When do we like to see him? Now it's 200 odd. Russell has to play one way. Dan, when does he come in?
It's tricky because I think RCB will look to Chahal to bowl when Russell comes in, so they'll save him up. I actually think the key is Morgan. Morgan is the left-hander to take on Shabazz Ahmed and Chahal, and also how destructive he can be with himself. I think he is one of the premier 6-hitters in world cricket, and that's what it's going to require tonight. It's a lot of boundaries, a lot of sixes. So the combination of Morgan and Russell, but I think it could be Morgan's night with the fact that he can come up against the leggy and the left arm spinner.
Okay, now before I leave you, let me get a nice one-liner on both de Villiers and Maxwell. If I were to tell you to describe that innings in one line, Dan, Glenn Maxwell, how would you describe that innings?
The best I've seen him bat.
Irfan?
Maxwell, look, he's in tremendous form, and he's continuing to do that for RCB, changing the fortune for RCB. And
what about AB de Villiers, Daniel?
He looks content and happy, and he's playing magnificently.
Irfan, AB?
Legend of the game, doing it once again. Absolutely carnage.
It just keeps going. All right. Thank you very much, Irfan. I think this is where we thank you for your time and your coverage on ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out. Thanks so much, Irfan, for joining us, and look forward to having you again very soon.
Thank you. Good fun, guys. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Dan Vettori, just another show for you. It's bright and sunny in Auckland, I'm sure, right now.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I'll see you for what would be the bridge show between this game and the next one, Delhi against Punjab, in a little while from now. So do join us then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Intel.
We call it people technology.
インテル入ってる